promotional photos were released for a movie adaptation of Dune coming out this December, which will ultimately fail at the box office. This is Exasperated Nerd Explains. The Dune novel came out in 1965 to great success, and it is said to be unadaptable to any other format. For something unadaptable, there are 2 adaptations out there, one directed by David Lynch with a runtime that was cut down dramatically for the theatrical release. So much so that he did not want his name attached to the movie and used the pseudonym Alan Smithy instead. And the other was a miniseries that aired on the Sci-Fi Channel back when they still knew how to spell. There was also an adaptation that fell apart and spawned its own documentary film. And now, Denis Villeneuve, director of Arrival and Blade Runner 2049, is directing an adaptation. The promo images have some fans hyped, but there's not a lot to them. You can't give me one sandworm? Look, it's Kylo Ren, Paul Atreides in black, standing there. People in armor. More people standing in a group photo, and people in funny suits. For someone unfamiliar with Dune, it looks like nonsense or a whole lot of nothing. It is a weak start for someone known for striking visuals. The only thing I can think of is that they are really trying to focus on the cast as the selling point, which is probably a good strategy because sci-fi has a strong barrier against entry for general audiences. Your best bet is something like Lost, which tricked people into watching a sci-fi show by starting out as a show about plane crash survivors. Dune has an impressive cast, starring Timothée Chalamet, I don't know. You also have Poe Dameron, Aquaman, Drax the Destroyer, Mary Jane 2.0, Thanos, Anton Chigurh, and one of the Skarsgårds. I think the marketing will also push this as a Game of Thrones in space, which may actually be its strongest selling point to get people interested. You do have noble houses, an emperor, and the Bene Gesserit Sisterhood all scheming against each other and vying for control, but if they push that too hard it may backfire, since a lot of that kind of falls away and disappears in favor of a hero's journey partway through the story. I think this adaptation will fail because people don't seem to have much of an appetite for sci-fi, especially the type of sci-fi that Dune represents. I would categorize sci-fi stories into 2 different camps: Our World Plus and Other World. Our World Plus stories are grounded, taking place in our world and at essentially our current time with a singular element of science fiction added. Iron Man. One man is smart enough to build a super suit that can fly. Ghostbusters. Ghosts are real and there are people that have developed a way to capture them to start a business. By focusing on one science fiction concept in an otherwise normal world, it is easier to pull in the audience and provide adequate answers to questions they have about the concept without derailing the whole story. Otherworld series are typically not set in our world, or at least not in our time. Sometimes the people in them are not even from Earth and just exist out in space somewhere for some reason. These stories require a lot of world building as every new idea needs introduced and explained to the audience. This is even more difficult if you don't have a fish out of water character from our world that is thrust into this strange one, so it makes sense to ask more questions and get explanations. These types of movies can obviously still be successful. Star Wars fits this category, but you need to tread lightly. You do not want to overwhelm the audience with a bunch of made-up nonsense words. I'm a fan of sci-fi, and even I have read the back of a book, understood only 1 out of every 4th word, set down gently and backed away, not wanting to deal with it. There is a reason they are called Jedi Knights. Likewise, you have Duke Atreides and Baron Harkonnen in Dune. Dune definitely falls in this otherworld category with a lot of world building in the novel. That is why the novel has largely been considered unadaptable. At its heart, it is a simple hero's journey where a chosen one seeks revenge and justice against those in power who have wronged him. But on that simple, understandable premise, you hang a lot of other concepts. There's not 1, but 2 prophecies being fulfilled, mind-altering drugs that allow space travel, excerpts from religious and historical texts, giant sandworms, the ability to see the future, and that being a curse as much as a benefit, noble houses scheming, a sisterhood that specializes in selective breeding to create superpowers, shared consciousness across generations, a creepy kid, and more. Most people who hear all of that would think it's all a bit much. Think about it. What was the last successful otherworld sci-fi story that was not part of a pre-established franchise? And I know Dune is based on a successful novel and ensuing sequels and spin-offs by both the original author and others, But that initial novel came out 55 years ago. That fanbase is running on fumes, not off the heels of a super successful new book. There's just too much time and too high a hurdle into the world separating this story from an audience. I think this will fail, and even those that do see it may come out unsatisfied because they are apparently dividing the original story into at least 2 movies, which is never a good idea. What do you think? Am I wrong? Will this find success and an audience? Let me know in the comments below. Time will tell if I'm right or completely, absolutely wrong, and I would like to be wrong, as I like Dune a lot. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Bye.